Talofa for our friends in American Samoa, and half a day for our friends in Guam. So welcome. My name is Haywood Pittman. I am a supervisor and program analyst in Care in the Community, formerly known as Managed Care. So welcome to our second town hall for VA Pacific Islands Healthcare System for the year 2018. So first, we thank you for your attendance and your participation in this town hall. And we also know that you are very busy, so we expect to be out of here in an hour. So first things first, we'll talk about today's agenda. Next, we'll have the director come up and she'll give us a welcome and some highlights. She'll talk about some AES information. She'll talk about our cultural transformational journey. She'll then touch on the medallia, something new for us. Then she'll give us a prosthetics update along with a staffing update. And then she'll move into our newsletter and a little bit about the intranet. And then we'll talk about what you all want to talk about, really, our time off awards that are coming down the line here. And then she'll do some shout outs. And then we'll go into our build. She'll talk a little bit about how we can build up our bounce back. And then the pin tab will come up, all 5 of them. And then we'll do some comments and Q&A at the end. And without further ado, I bring you our director, Ms. Jennifer S. Gutowski.
Thank you, Haywood. Okay, thank you for that introduction. Want to remind everyone about the all-employee survey. If you haven't taken it yet, you'll be seeing us leadership team walking around this week wearing this lovely sandwich board. Yes, it's a lot of fun, but it's really important that we hear from all of you as employees. And this is one way that we really get a chance to hear your voices. So please take the time to do the all-employee survey. It's open until Monday. Right now we're at 40%. For those that don't know what the all-employee survey is, it's an anonymous, confidential, and voluntary survey sent to all VA employees. It's a tool for employees to provide feedback on job satisfaction and workplace perceptions. It also helps us to make informed, data-driven decisions by developing specific interventions and action plans using the results. So last year, as a result of the all-employee survey, we introduced a new action planning task force for the all-employee survey. And we recommended action plans on the top 3 priorities, and we're already working on putting that into action. And part of that is also our employee engagement committee. We're restructuring that. That'll include looking at rewards and recognition. And we are looking for members. And then you can be located anywhere to be a part of that group. So we're really looking forward to hearing from all of you. So check with your supervisor. I think we have a sign-in sheet that if you're interested in potentially being a part of the employee engagement committee, put your name down. Of course, check with your supervisor afterwards. Make sure your name can be on the list. But we really do want to hear from all of you to be a part of this group.
Excuse me. So but if they're online, who do they email to let them know that they want to be participants?
Certainly. If they're online, they can email Jemarie Texora. Texura, thank you for correcting me, in terms of being a part of that committee. Thank you, Jem. So I want to comment a little bit about, I guess I can take this. Just leave it on. I'll be all right. Just leave it on. I'm not sure what will happen if I try to take it off, but I want to talk a little bit about our cultural transformation journey. And we're really embarking on some exciting initiatives that will really just continue to warm our hearts as employees and help us to continue the great work that we're doing in serving our veterans. I want to share with you a couple of these programs. So one is We Care Rounding. And what We Care Rounding is it's a program that really allows us, one, leadership to be more visible and to be walking around and visiting with all of you as well as veterans and understanding the perceptions and looking to you all as problem solvers, innovators, to help us put some things in place to help make this a better facility. We're going to be asking questions like, do you have any ideas for improving your area? What are you most proud of? Again, we really want this to be an experience. So the service chiefs as well as the Pentan have been trained to do the We Care Rounding, and so you'll see us officially out and about doing that starting next month. So don't hide if you see us coming. We also have a way that we're doing this as part of our CVOCs as well. On a quarterly basis, one of our leadership team is visiting those clinics, and so we definitely plan to be out there as well. And so we have a nice busy schedule ahead of us. I also want to take a moment to talk about a program called Own the Moment. And Own the Moment is a program that is going to help us deliver high-quality veteran customer experiences the VA way. This program is really going to help us give us tools to provide more positive VA interactions, improve aspects of veteran experience throughout our healthcare system, and promote open and effective lines of communication between staff and veterans. I want to encourage everyone to own the moment with every veteran and with staff every time, right? Because I know all of us have had this moment. I mean, how many of us have had a moment where maybe we didn't take the time to answer an email timely? You know, there's a staff member on the other end of that email that is waiting for your response. And we just got to remind ourselves, and it's important to support each other as staff members, and it's also important to support the veterans in terms of responding to them and owning the moment. And we've had a lot of examples of where staff are doing that every day. I'm going to share a couple of those examples with you. But these programs, I do want to mention also that our first workshop is scheduled for June 26th for Own the Moment. And again, Jemery Teixeira is our point of contact for that. So we're really excited to be rolling that program out. And these programs really do help us in moving forward. Another program that you've seen, and hopefully you see it in your area, is the Lean Journey and the huddle boards. How many of you have huddle boards in your area now? Oh yeah, awesome, great to see that. You know, that's really helping us as well, that communication's happening in your workplace where you're doing the work. And that issues that maybe can't be resolved at that level can get rolled up to the very top of the organization. I have a huddle every day at 9:30 with the leadership team to go over what issues are maybe not being resolved at the other levels throughout the organization. Another really significant program is VA Voices. And we've had over 53% of our staff attending a VA Voices experience. And we have an upcoming session in August. So if you're interested in that, contact Jemery Teixeira for that information. And again, we've reinvigorated our employee engagement committee, and we are looking for members. And that's going to be a really fun group because, you know, the sky's the limit. You know, we spend a majority of our day here, our lives at work. Let's make it the very best that we can and have an enjoyable experience. So switching to, I want to talk about Medallia. What is Medallia? Well, Medallia is a new customer service tool that has been launched, and it is live. So the cool thing is that veterans get an email about a week after their appointment. And as they answer and send in their data, it shows up live on the computer screen. So we're going to have real-time data from our customers about what we're doing well and maybe some areas where we're not doing so well. So we're going to be rolling that out. They're going to be focused on areas such as specialty care, mental health, primary care appointment, or a visit to pharmacy, lab, or radiology. That would trigger the email to be sent to the veteran. So we'll be monitoring this data daily and providing service recovery as necessary in our commitment to provide excellent care and having a good experience. You know, I mentioned this to folks, you know, when it comes to VA, both as employees and as veterans, you choose to come here to work, and veterans choose to come here for their health care. But they don't have to, and you don't have to work here. But we want you to be proud of choosing VA, and we want veterans to be proud of choosing their health care here. So this tool is really going to be great. Medallia, so you'll be seeing it coming soon. Data will be sent to the individual services, and so we're going to be asking for support to make sure that we're answering these concerns timely from the veterans. We're also giving kudos for where there are great things happening out there in our system. One thing that we've seen mentioned in Medallia as we're seeing this live customer data is prosthetics. And as you're aware, we've had some changes in prosthetics recently. We're working very closely with our regional staff, the VISN, to reduce the backlog of consults and increase staffing. And things have been challenging, but I really want to thank the prosthetic staff for all their hard work and efforts during this period of transition. So we are working on that area, and again, really appreciate everyone's support. Also want to take a moment to provide some staffing updates. Our new associate director will be starting on June 22nd. She was working through some moves, and it's PCS season, so it's kind of hard to find a relocation company when you're out in Wyoming. So we're really excited. She'll be stepping on board on June 22nd. Mark your calendar. We'll have a welcome tea. Yes, Carrie. We'll have a welcome tea on July 9th, so mark your calendars for that. Want to also mention we have a couple other significant recruitments. We have a new human resources officer that's going to be joining us in July, Stephen Schneider. And we have an assistant human resources officer, Rochelle, that'll be joining us, I think, shortly thereafter in August. I do want to take a moment to welcome Deborah Mabry, our new secretary for the director. And again, I want to take a moment to thank Stella Gabriel for her amazing support of the front office as she transitions to the new employment. Thank you, Stella, for all you've done and continue to do. I want to take a moment to mention some really exciting things that have been implemented as a result of your feedback. One thing that we heard very loud and clear was that we were sending out too many emails with too large of attachments, those kind of things. So we are very excited to announce that we have a new VA Pacific Islands intranet. Right, with updated information, because the last time I think that our intranet was updated, not kidding when I say I think it was about 2010. So I really applaud Amy Rolfs and her work in getting this accomplished. We worked with our partners in Palo Alto. So we now have a up-to-date intranet. And its success is dependent upon all of you, because we want to make sure that we're including information that is relevant. So please let us know your feedback. Hop on that site, let us know what you think. The other thing that we've done as a direct result of your feedback is started a newsletter. And that way we can roll in what are the events upcoming, my weekly messages, trying to roll it up into one as much as we can. And also it gives you a chance to share your photos and your excitement of what's happening in your area. So again, that will be coming out on Mondays. Again, thanks to Amy for putting that together. I'm really excited to see that. There's an area that's called Submit Your Story, which empowers all of you to share your good news stories. Please help us do that. We got to take time to pat each other on the back, acknowledge the hard work that's being done. So if you have that information, either click on there. Of course, you can always contact Amy Rolfs for more information. So I also want to mention, a while ago I talked to you all about what was happening with the performance awards and sent you out a little bit of an email. And in that email, I asked for you guys to send me some feedback of what we could be doing better about recognizing our employees. And I think there was an overwhelming response that there's a desire for time off awards. And apparently, I guess at this facility, that's not really been embraced before. So I want to let you know that we are going to pursue looking at time off awards in lieu of monetary awards going forward. So if that's a way that a staff member would like to be recognized, we'll be able to do that. So I'll be working with our task force on that and doing that. So again, when you speak, we are listening, and so that helps us to make this a best place to work. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit of some compliments and shout-outs that I want to give. Let me read a couple of these amazing emails and letters that I get. Aloha VA Director. I'm a patient of Dr. Ross at Han Neurology 1 Clinic for the past 6 years. He is an outstanding doctor who has taken care of me for my Parkinson. I am very appreciative for all his advice and suggestion on how to take care of myself with this illness. I am here to compliment his staff. Susan Tavita, Rocky Ricafort, Randy and Carson Sion in the HAS department, and Ivory Griffin. Rating of 1 through 10, they all give me 15 they give excellent service. Big mahalo to Dr. Ross. He is the best, and I am lucky to have him. Please deliver my mahalo to them and recognize their outstanding service. I am proud to be in this VA hospital.
Yay.
Here's another one. This morning of Tuesday, June 5th, I received a telephone call from a hospital and homes patient's caregiver who was in a panic because the rental bed was stuck in a low position with the head up. The bed had been repaired for the same issue in early April. I researched the original repair consult for information. This is coming from Patricia Smith, who is a PSA in hospital and home. I contacted the vendor, R&M Race, and spoke with Lena, who informed me it would be best to replace the bed, and she had one in stock. However, a purchase order would need to be issued before anything could be done. It can be a daunting task to get a consult entered, signed, and acted upon in a matter of hours, let alone have a purchase order issued really quickly. I contacted Lynn Cialana, who originated the original repair consult. She was not the occupational therapist assigned to the patient and had been filling in for the OT, Kim Sato. Lynn was instrumental in generating a new consult for the repair replacement, gathering details and passing on the information. Kim Sato, who then entered the consult. Dr. Patricia Laurel was contacted and signed the consult right away so the consult could be acted upon. At this point, Bruce Reckenbach of Prosthetics took over and immediately generated a PO and faxed it to RMN Reyes at 1312. Everything was in place for issuance of a new bed in just over 3 hours. Unfortunately, the vendor couldn't make the delivery until the next morning, but we had all our stuff done. So she wants to recognize Lynn Cialana, the OT, for her research and follow-up, Kim Sato, the OT, for acting on the info provided by Lynn, and most importantly, Bruce Reckenbach of Prosthetics for going the extra mile and seeing the completion of the consult, including issuing a PO to the end. This was a team effort that ended with a grateful caregiver and patient. We are here to serve our veterans with dedication and hard work. This is a perfect example of the eye care values we espouse. Caregiver Lucy is very happy with the outcome and wishes to extend her gratitude to all involved. Now taking care of a 93-year-old veteran. Okay, so I want to take a moment to play for you a little video clip. And I think with that, I'm just going to play the video clip and then I'll comment. Thank you.
Did you know you can take concrete steps to build up your own happiness and resilience? Top colleges offer happiness courses. The U.S. military teaches resilience. And now, VA wants to show you how to live and work happier too. Here are some strategies. Find your center. How? Write down your personal goals and remind yourself of them as you work and play. Meditate. And make a self-care contract to exercise or walk 20 to 30 minutes a day. Train your brain to be more optimistic and to hunt for the good in your life. A proven strategy? Write down 3 good things that happened that day. Make sure you connect with others. It is one of the top ways to build happiness. You can volunteer. Expand your social network. Eat lunch with a colleague at work. And be sure to commit conscious acts of kindness. They'll boost someone else's happiness, and yours too. Identify your superpowers. In other words, play to your strengths, not your weaknesses. Lean on team members when you need help, and build on each other's strengths. These are just a few tips to help you build up your bounce back and become happier and more resilient. Want to know more? Visit VA Insider today.
Okay. You know, I shared this video, you know, it talked to me, it touched me because, you know, every day in our jobs, you know, we're faced sometimes with some challenges and we have to remember to take care of ourselves too. Right? I mean, I'm sure as providers, there's, you know, view alerts, there's phone calls coming in, all kinds of things. So this is just a reminder to, take care of yourself as well as taking care of veterans. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to take care of veterans. So take a moment to reflect upon those things. Take a moment for meditation, a moment to get some exercise. And luckily we live in beautiful Pacific Islands, so that makes it a wonderful opportunity to get out there, breathe some fresh air, find your center, take those moments, because some days can be really challenging. So I just want to comment on that and just, again, encourage you to share this with your employees. You can take this video and use it during your staff meetings and share it with folks as well and talk through it. But again, this is a campaign the VA is taking, and I think the VA recognizes that working in healthcare can be really challenging. So again, we want to take care of ourselves. So with that, I'm going to pause there. I'm going to ask the PennTAD leadership to join me. And I'm going to turn this back over to Haywood so that we have an opportunity to hear from all of you now that I just spouted off a bunch of updates in terms of what's going on. So I'd love to hear from folks. So Haywood, let me turn it back over to you.
Thank you. So I guess I didn't tell my joke this time, huh?
You better check it with us first.
So Dr. Dubs recently told me to stop using Q-tips. It went in one ear and right out the other. So then I got me a part-time job in a health club, but they told me I wasn't fit for the job. So then I went and got an IQ test done. Thank God the results came back, it was negative. So anyway, so our PennTAD, first we have our director, Ms. Jennifer Eskatowski. We have our nurse exec, Dr. Kate Hanson-Smith. We have our chief of staff, Dr. William Dubs. And we have our acting associate director, Mr. Gary Van Brockland. So thank you. So for the remainder of the town hall, we will do a Q&A and comments with our PennTAD. So I'll turn it over to Tandy for the first question.
All right, so actually there was a question from the last town hall from Dr. Gurdon that I'm not sure that we got a response to. And so the question is, how will the organization ensure that so-called foundational services continue to strive to improve? After all, if they're already determined to be foundational, they will not be cut. So their incentive to improve and ensure the highest quality of care is minimal.
So that was an excellent question by Dr. Gurdon. So foundational services, just to bring everyone up to speed, that we refer to are services such as primary care and mental health as two examples. So that's kind of our bread and butter, if you will, in terms of the care that we provide to our veterans. And the way that I think that we would look at improving what we do there is looking at our different quality metrics, looking at our provider satisfaction, looking at our patient satisfaction, looking at productivity measures. You know, we have plenty of that through the VA in terms of looking at physician productivity, the productivity of the PAC team, making sure we have appropriate space for our teams to operate in, which is definitely one that I know that this facility has been on a journey, particularly with the Aloha project in our future and some of our other clinic expansions, making sure you have the right environment to do your work. So that's a couple of ways that I think that we'll be able to continue to enhance that. You want to mention that? Go ahead.
And APRN productivity is also being looked at this year, and we've already had a call with VA Central Office in order to get a grasp on where we are on our APRN productivity and how we can improve that.
Thank you very much. And for our partners who are online, employees who are online, you may Skype your question to Ms. Stella Gabriel if you are online. Okay, so we have a second question from Ms. Jessica Spurrier. Would love to see a space to sit outside ACC to eat, a picnic table for staff, visitors, and patients, far away from the existing covered smoking area. I notice a lot of times people don't respond to or acknowledge. Well, that's the first question.
Okay, that sounds good to me. I'm going to pass this to Gary, who's the acting AD, to see if he has any ideas of what we can do.
Money.
I had the time it took for the microphone to go from there to formulate an answer. No, that's actually, I do like that idea. You know, we've had a couple of iterations over the years. Those of us who've been here for a while know that space, the space behind mental health has been carved out for mental health, and we've had a couple of folks over the years sort of put their bid in to try to use that space, and we never came up with a really viable alternate solution. There was a time, many of you remember years ago, when we had the Wiki lunch. Remember that? Right outside that back corner of Tripler, and people would pile out of the ACC, and there were those tables against the wall that, you know, that all of us were able to use. I think most of those have been removed. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there might be one left. Maybe we can explore with Tripler getting those tables back. I'm not quite sure why they were removed, except perhaps because of the lunch cart that used to serve food there is no longer there. So yeah, that's certainly something we can look into.
So these are great ideas. What we'll do after this is we're taking notes today. So any ideas for improvement, we'll follow up on, and then at the next town hall, we'll give you all an update on what we have discovered.
Okay. All right. Next question for the audience. Anyone?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Wayne Anderson, Bristol is my name.
A little closer to the microphone.
Wayne Anderson is my name. I'm just wanting to know about the locked door that would allow us to get into the cafeteria from the ACC side. It's been locked last week, and again it was locked today. So what is the story on that? Because we have to go over there, we try to get in, because we usually get in and then we have to walk all the way around.
So that's the first time I'm hearing it. Does anyone else know? No, so this is the first time we're hearing that. Thank you for bringing that forward. We'll have to follow up on that and find out what's going on, because I'm not aware of that for any reason, if that's a change and why that is. Speaking of changes, I'm going to just mention something else that triggered my mind about not knowing about things that happen on the campus sometimes. So if you may recall, it was the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, and anyone driving to Tripler noticed that all of a sudden there was a police officer in front of Epona Street, and it was blocked off, and you couldn't turn right into Tripler. I just want to share with you that I was not aware of that, Tripler commander was not aware of that, and Schofield commander was not aware of that. So when I sent them the information on Friday morning saying, oh boy, we better figure this out before Tuesday morning, they really appreciated that information, because there was not good coordination between Honolulu PD and the base, et cetera. So as a result of that, though, we've had some really good conversation about making sure that there's enough people manning the gate to make sure that there's some good flow. And if you notice, there's more people at the gate than you've seen before. And so we're working on trying to address some of those issues of, you know, access onto the gate. And Gwen, you made me think of that when I heard about changes that happened without it being coordinated. So anytime you see things that have happened, don't assume we know, kind of thing. So please bring that forward, because we don't always know that some of these changes are happening. Do you want to comment on that?
Sure, just want to. Since you raised that gate issue, we do have a little bit of good news. We have committed to the folks at Tripler to fund 2 security guards. Now, this is unusual for them. And then normally we help them, you know, with our proportion of police officers, since the PMO, the Provost Marshal's office, since they you know, provide our security here. But they've decided to change the way that they look at things on our behalf, and are going to be hiring a couple of security guards. And they're going to be posting them at the gate to ensure that at the gate we always have 3 deep every morning. You may have noticed that we've had some police officers you know, here recently. There's a problem with that, obviously. If you've got police officers looking at IDs, they're not getting the patrols done that they need to do. So this is a really good compromise that they're willing to make on our behalf to help facilitate access to the station. The real benefit of this, though, that's really got me excited, is that we all know that with these CAP cards, we know that the drop-dead date on that is October 1st. Before the veterans that do not have those cards are going to start struggling to get onto campus. Well, this is, with these security guards, is going to make it possible for them to literally escort individually our veterans to the ACC for their appointments while they're working on trying to get their ID badge taken care of. And so that's very good news. for us and for the veterans from the standpoint of access. It buys us a little time, and it gives us a little bit of leeway, trying to address individual veterans' needs.
Thank you for that, Mr. Moneyman. Next question?
I was wondering about the new bill the president just signed, Dropping Choice and the Accountability Act. What is your feedback on that? Clarify, is that positive or are there negative connotations as well?
Yes.
Gary just answered yes. That was very politically correct. No, I think there's some really good components in the VA Mission Act. It really pulls together all of care in the community into kind of one bucket, if you will. And there's a lot of really good pieces in there that many different components on education debt reduction program and expanding that in terms of the cost. There's great news in there about caregiver support program. There's a lot of components. We just got issued a fact sheet recently. And Amy, let's make sure that we include that as part of our newsletter next week so that all of you are aware of the different components. Now, it's all in the details, right? So a lot has to be done in central office from a regulation standpoint now that the law is out. So how that will really impact us locally, we'll know more as that gets developed. But we can definitely share with you the fact sheet that just came out from central office about what does the VA Mission Act cover and some of the highlights.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned you thought that choice was going away. What they want to do is combine it all into one group so that it's not choice first, choice 40, choice 30. Give that to a veteran, they're very confused. And we don't even understand it. So what they're trying to do is make it one pot so that we will still send veterans out into the community, but it will just be outside.
Very good.
Thank you. Next question? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to share an issue that came up this weekend. On Saturday, I was called that one of my patients needed a refill of his medications. I had already renewed it, but apparently it wasn't sent out until Saturday. So I made my attempt to get it for him. He's in Kona, of course. And we figured out how to do a heritage prescription, but it turns out you can't order a heritage prescription at 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. because the heritage office closes in the mainland by that time. So we're not serving our veterans 24/7. It turns out we got him not a local fill, he had to pay for it, it wasn't a terribly expensive drug. But I can see this being a real problem for a very expensive drug for patients without resources. So my question really is not about this individual issue, but are we going to service our veterans 24/7? If I were in private practice, this would have been a no-brainer. But at the VA, it took me an hour to figure out what I could and could not do, and I finally sent it to a local pharmacy. But what are we going to do? We're on a timeline that doesn't match the rest of the United States, yet we operate and we have to go by their hours, but our patients don't.
Let me respond to that just partially, Mary. To have that question answered the best, we need to, probably you and I need to talk to Dr. Watson with it. It's definitely a system issue. It's particularly more of an issue here than it would be if we had our own hospital where you have 24-hour pharmacy availability. I don't think we can answer that question at this panel, but it needs to be put into another spot. Excuse me. Since I have the microphone, I want to go back to the first question. Foundational services. And the reason I want to do that, I just want to tell you where we stand on that from the clinician's viewpoint. It's been absolutely acknowledged nationally that nobody provides mental health care to veterans like the VA. Nothing even comes close to it in any of your major renowned medical centers. Primary care, same thing. Those of you that are that take care of the veterans, whether you're on the physician side, nursing side, or the clinical side where you're seeing the patients there in your workspace, you know how unique the veteran patient is compared to the businessman or the business lady, etc. And absolutely nobody takes care of those folks like you do, like the VA does. So, then you have choice. And as you know, most of the veterans prefer to have their care in the VA. Not all of them, but the majority do. One of the concerns that's been of concern recently, is specialty care. Our specialists, you know, when that dialogue came about, you know, doing foundational care and making that the VA's mission. So then the providers asked me, well, what am I looking at for a future? Here in Hawaii, you know, do I need to be looking toward the outside? So those are providers asking that question. So then the people that work for those providers, you know, PSAs, MSAs, folks out there in the clinic, so their provider leaves, where are they job-wise? Those have come up, and that's part of a lot of national discussion and a large part of political discussion also. As you know, most of us have our own agendas. And, you know, there's a lot of business people that like to take, you know, you look at the volume of VA business, both in terms of quantity and in terms of dollars, and that's quite a pot. So, getting back to Hawaii, those of you that get your health care outside of Tripler and outside of the VA know the process it takes to get in and be seen on a whole lot of the specialties. Now, one of the things that's going on in the VA, and particularly in our VISN, is to utilize the entire VISN in our health care. And what that means is, let's take Palo Alto. Palo Alto has a good, I'm going to use stuff I'm familiar with, has a good cardiac surgery program. And so does it make sense then for Fresno to have cardiac surgery or thoracic surgery? Because they talk, this relates to centers of excellence. And it probably does not if you look at the resources that it takes for cardiac surgery, et cetera. In the private sector, cardiac surgery is a moneymaker for the hospitals. That's why you see so many of the smaller places having cath labs, et cetera. In our system, it's a money loser. It takes a lot of money to run a cardiac care service. So what the mainland, it does make sense, and for our VISN, which is primarily California, a patient and their family can get in the car from, you know, and they can go to Palo Alto or San Francisco for their care. Very hard to do that in Hawaii. It takes a special car, you know, and so our point is getting back to the question of what am I looking at for my job future. I think with the limited specialty care in Hawaii, particularly what we call our outer islands, it's very imperative for our care to expand foundational care. And of course you can't really expand the word too much, but I think, and what we're pushing here is that we are a little bit different than California, and that we do need to hire and keep our specialists. you know, because it's so hard. If you do send a patient to the mainland, that patient is away from his family. And as you know, if they have a significant illness, that's a very uncomfortable, unpleasant situation to be in. And on the family side of it, you know, the families don't want their loved one to be, you know, 3.5 thousand miles away from them doing significant stuff. So, you know, I've had these questions individually when I walk the halls from all levels. And that's the reason I wanted to take this time, since the opportunity presented with Foundational Services, to let you know the viewpoint and the stance that I've taken on these national committees. And as you know, also, we're going, we're getting pretty stable here in Hawaii now. We got PenTAD set up. We got some more coming that you mentioned. And then on the vision-wise, you know, we're going to be getting a new vision director also. As far as I know, to be determined. Is that correct on that? So anyway, more to come, but that's where we are right now from us medicines. All right, thanks.
All right, big mistake. He handed me the microphone. So I just wanted to share with you that in looking at how we can improve our primary care access, mention had come up a lot of the times that when someone calls into our telephone advice center, they have a set of protocols that they follow, and they do a great job about that. But most of those patients will end up in your primary care clinic. And when you get a lot of those patients in your clinic, what happens is you don't have that capacity or access for other patients who really might need to get into your clinic. So one thing that we're doing that's really exciting, and some of you may have seen the advertisement go out, but we're preparing to hire a APRN into our telephone advice center. And I really feel like this is going to be very, very helpful to us. That person will be able to solve medical problems at the lowest level, hopefully, so that not all the access will be turned over to primary care. And I also want to thank our telehealth group, because they've actually come up with a really innovative program where they are working with the telephone advice nurses too, so they can do video on demand immediately. If a patient calls the advice center, they have a problem, they can be referred to either the telephone advice APRN or to the telehealth program. So I think that we'll see better patient satisfaction, and we'll see improved access and less people coming through our primary care area that really could have been handled at a lower level. Patients don't want to have to come in. They want to be able to be treated at the lowest level they can. And I think that this will be a good innovation. They've actually been using the APRNs in the telephone advice centers across the country with very good results. We're starting out with one. Hopefully we'll see how successful that is, and then we'll be able to expand that as well.
Thank you, Dr. Dubs, and thank you, Dr. Kate Hanshin-Smith, for those comments. Next question. We still have about 10 minutes left. Were there any online questions? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So this morning a veteran asked me about the build out of the VA in Kapolei, and I had no idea what to tell him. So if you could give me any information, Alice, that would be helpful.
Sure. So I'll also look to Craig Oswald in the audience to help back me up if I don't cover everything. So Glenn was referring to our Aloha project, as we fondly refer to it. It's going to be establishing a clinic out on the leeward side of the island at about 66,000 square feet. We're very excited. We just signed a major financial investment in terms of funding a piece of that, in terms of committing to going forward. So that is moving full steam ahead. Of course, it's planned out a couple of years in advance, so we're probably looking at 2021-ish to actually open up. But that will truly be able to allow us some additional space so that our PACT primary care teams can really function according to the PACT guidelines. And we'll also be moving over, I think, Women Health Services, we'll have an area, and some other ones as well. And Craig, maybe you can comment if I missed anything else about the exciting progress.
Yeah, sure. Well, the thing is it's not going to be a VA constructed, VA owned building. It's what we call a major lease. So the lease award that we're anticipating for this would be before the end of this summer. And there's a couple of more intervening details that some people in central office are working on for that. The reason I say that is because when that lease is awarded, we will all know who the person or firm, company is going to be that's going to provide us with our new clinic. They're going to build it to our specs. We've got a preliminary, what's called 30% floor plan design. As I look around the room, many of you have attended some of the initial pre-planning meetings and design meetings and such. We're also now formulating the sort of the staffing plan. We're looking at furnishings, equipment. So as far as process to go along and prepare for a new building, we're doing well. When that award takes place, we'll know who's going to provide the building to us, and also where exactly is it going to be, because we received multiple offers from people that own land, develop, construct. They hooey up and come in to offer to the VA. So it's really an exciting time. But more as we go, a lot of steps yet to accomplish. It's just smaller than this building that we're in, and it will have some of the same functions like lab and x-ray and dental and prosthetics and women's health. One area that is a little expanded, and I'll stop talking, is that we have created some more space for outpatient rehab, so we have a bigger footprint to do PT and OT and the things that, right now, as you all know, that's pretty much confined to our community living center, and we fee a lot of that work out. So having that capability to do that and also to test out some of the prosthetic items and a whole bunch of other stuff is kind of exciting. So anyway, more as we go, but we're right on the cusp of the award, and thank you.
I think what might be helpful too, thank you, Craig, is we have a summary of all of our kind of our major leases in terms of what's being done. Perhaps we can put that as part of the weekly newsletter, because we have a lot of things happening at the our neighbor islands as well, in terms of Kauai and Maui and the major, the movement out there for their leases and land development, and we have a lot of exciting things. We're also looking at some space in the Windward area for a clinic that will also help offload here in Oahu for additional space, and of course additional parking. I know that's something that everyone is very interested in and trying to see what we can do to address that. So I think, yeah, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Craig.
Just one more thing added to your list. There's a new central office program some of you have heard about called Hospital Within a Hospital. And so Jennifer really encouraged us to be first in the gate to get a couple of proposals in, which we did. What it translates to is that our primary care folks have been in touch with a UH family practice clinic in Mililani. Also, I believe Dr. Antonelli was one of the forerunners of helping us establish that communication. We've been approved to send VA providers into that clinic in Mililani for primary care, and so that's a kind of an exciting option to get some of these veterans taken care of, maybe that might end up not having access to the Hill under the new requirements, or that's a good thing. And then lastly, I'll just mention the other proposal that was approved way out in Guam is a brand new medical office building that's being constructed as we speak next to the Guam Regional Medical City Hospital out there, a private hospital. So we've been approved for up to 4,500 square feet. And that's going to be in addition to our existing CBOC, and in addition, if you've heard about this, to the expansion project, construction project of our existing CBOC. So, we're trying real hard to have things be the size and be places where it'll help us on into the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jennifer, for those updates. Any more questions?
Okay, well, I want to thank everyone. Let's thank Haywood for being our MC today. Before I turn it back over to Haywood, I do want to share with all of you, thank you so much for participating today. And again, we're going to be doing these on a more regular basis. So really just have an open Q&A. We did have it arranged so that you can send questions in advance if you're not comfortable doing it here live in person or live online. But again, thank you. Just keep bringing your voices forward, and thank you all for what you do every day. We really appreciate your hard work. So let me turn it over to Haywood for closing.
So I leave you with this. The great poet Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you say. People will forget what you do. But people will never forget how you made them feel. So thank you and have a good VA day.